This is the VEX VR tutorial for number maze. This time we're going to look at level 2. Level 2, we can see that you need to program the robot to move through the maze, stopping at each number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then traveling to the finish. The robot should stop at 2 seconds on each of these. So we can see we have to make our way to number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then ultimately coming here to the end. And when we reach these numbers, have a 2-second stop. Now, if we look at our code from the previous one, to run this maze, the code became quite large. And the drawback to that is it became hard to deal with. So in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to create different functions. So we're going to create a function for the robot to travel to 1, to travel to 2, to travel to 3, and to travel to 4. What you're going to notice then, when I show you the program I've already written, the coding for that program is simply this right here. So you can see I've created a series of functions to say, hey, this is how we want to finish or how we want the program to run. So the way you create a function like we did in the previous assignment, we're going to come to My Blocks, and we're going to make a block. So for an example, I've already named my blocks, but find number 1. So I'm going to create that block, and you can see I've created that function now called find number 1. And I've written my program on how to navigate to the number 1, which is a very linear program like we've seen in the past. It's basically just a series of turns and movements to get to there like we did previously. So again, I'm using the block I've created, which is the function find number 1, or here number 1 is what I called it. And I write that program to get to number 1. So I can come over here to this block that I created, and the function, to call that function, I drag this block in. And so what happens is when this program runs, it goes here, it finds the function to find number 1, and then this will run linear. So I know the assignment calls for a wait command. So after I run that function, we come to a stop, I wait 2 seconds. To get to number 2, I then run or write this function. I call that function, I wait 2 seconds. Number 3, wait 2 seconds, call the next function, which is number 4, wait 2 seconds, and then call the function to find the end of the problem here. So it's, do you need to use functions? No, but if you didn't, this would be one string of programming. And it's much easier to see your work and organize your work in this manner. So the same thing can be said if we take a look at the assignment for level 3. Level 3 asks us to try this whole program in reverse. Program the VR robot to move from the start, 4, 3, 2, 1, then to finish. Then it should wait 2 seconds as well. So we're running that same idea in level 3. You'd want to use the idea of functions, but this time you could use your function for 4, and then you'd have to write a function to get to number 3, and a function to get to number 2, and a function to get number 1. Where some of your code from level 2 might be usable, not all of it's going to be, because you're starting from the start point. So if I simply ran to 4, the 4 function, it wouldn't get there because you started at the number 3 in this one. So it is a little tedious, but you'd have to run that same program again. But again, the idea is to use your functions to shorten your code and make it more manageable by defining it in different sections.